Hey everybody, welcome back into WSAZ Sports Plus here in the WSAZ Now Digital Studio. Episode 3. If you watched the first 2 episodes, we certainly appreciate you coming back. We have another special guest here, a guy who is very accomplished in 2 sports, but of course he's got a dynasty going right now in softball at Winfield. We are talking about head coach Steve Hensley. He's in our studio right now. I want to bring him on. There he is. Coach Hensley, appreciate you making the trip from Putnam County to join me today. Back-to-back state champs. We'll probably talk about all 3 teams. But let's just first start with this group. And it wasn't easy. It never is. But you got back to the mountaintop, and at the end of the day, it was the Winfield Lady Generals again standing on top of it. How did this come about this year? Because it was not easy. It was a difficult road.
Wow. It's just thinking about it riding down here, it's still kind of a little hard to believe how it all came together. I think for the most part, our girls have just been so resilient and so strong and so determined over the last couple of years. And this year's team really had their work cut out for them, no doubt about it. And man, our senior class is really willed this team, and we have a strong junior class too. But man, our seniors are just such high character kids, and it's just done a tremendous job throughout the entire season. And when you had that leadership, I think when times were tough, they really stepped up, and man, I'm just really so proud of them.
Sure. Yeah. Before we get to the state tournament, were there moments in the regular season where you feel like your team was tested? Maybe you felt like they needed to be tested because you come off back-to-back state championships. You don't want to run into complacency, and you don't want to run into entitlement. Were there moments in the season where you felt like this was good for us?
Yeah. We played down here in Kentucky in a tournament. I can't remember what the name of it was right off the top of my head, but the little tournament down here in Kentucky where they bring in a lot of local really good teams from West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. And we played 3 games, played one on Friday night and a couple on Saturday. And we went 1-2. We played Boyd County on Friday, had a really good game with them. Played the Notre Dame team from down this way.
State champs?
Yeah, very good team. And then we played a team out of Lexington that was very good. And, we went 1-2. We were in every game and won the Boyd County game, I think 3-2. And played 2 good games on Saturday, had a quick turnaround to come back down here and play. And that was a kind of a tough weekend for us. But overall, I think our girls really battled and grinded through 3 tough games. And you don't always win those games, but I think you can always get better. Sometimes you don't sense that you're getting better, but they are. And I think this group did have a few games like that this year where they maybe didn't get the result they wanted, but in the end, when you get to the state tournament, it pays off. And I think that definitely was happened with this team.
Yeah, and I know softball, and I know you coached baseball as well. We'll get into that later in the show, but it's one of those sports where I don't care how good you think you are or how bad you think you are. You can beat just about any team on any given day or night. And so do you have to battle that sometimes, or say you lose to a team you feel like you shouldn't have, to remind them of like, hey, we hit it right at them today, or we weren't hitting our spots in the circle today. Do you kind of have to remind the girls of like, none of these results really defined you, because anything can happen on any given day or night?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with that is our girls have been so good about just being consistent. You don't get that result you want every time out, even from at bat to at bat or pitch to pitch. You're going to struggle. You're going to go up and down. And it's definitely a game, whether it's baseball or softball, that you can't play too emotionally high or too emotionally low. You've got to find a way to stay grinding in the middle of every game and every at bat or pitch, if you're a pitcher. And I think this team did that well. I mean, we talked a lot about through the season and the off season about, consistency and the process and doing things right every day. And you're doing those things that lead to bigger things. And that's kind of the talk that you try to have with them day to day, to build that consistent approach to what you're doing, and in the end, you're probably going to like the results, if you just stay with it.
Has it felt like there's a target on that green W these days, because everyone wants to beat you all?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we see everybody's best pitcher, and we get everybody's best game right now, and that's good. That's good for our program. That's good for our girls to go through that, because when you get to the end of the postseason, whether it's in a sectional or regional or fortunate enough to get to the state tournament, you're going to get in situations that are stressed, and the more opportunities that they can be in during the regular season, that's just going to pay off for them at the end of the year.
Yeah. You want to talk about the regional championship series?
Oh my goodness,
because that was a classic. Absolutely.
Yeah. And look, I mean, Chapmanville, that team is fully capable. In our opinion, we thought that team could have won a state championship. They had a very high quality pitcher and good hitters. Chloe Murphy at Chapmanville is an outstanding pitcher. Mm-hmm. She's a senior. She's been there for 4 years, and she's good. And, we lost the first game down there and had to adjust. We had a few strikeouts, and we had to kind of get back to a good practice. We probably, fortunately, got a little bit of rain the next day and couldn't play. Yeah. And I think that kind of allowed us to regroup our mindset a little bit and just come out, play at home. That second game was at Winfield. Mm-hmm. And they absolutely played phenomenal in that game and found themselves a little bit, I think. But you just got to carry that on to the next day. Yeah. They were able to do that on the road. I mean, it was a tough game at Chapmanville, and they just absolutely grinded their way through it.
Yeah. You said after losing that first game, you had to make some adjustments. You mentioned strikeouts.
Yeah.
What does that adjustment look like? Is that just seeing pitches better? Is that better, swing selection? Because there's a lot of things that can result in a strikeout. I don't know. What do you think it was that they needed to adjust?
I think each kid understanding just simply, what you have to do to be successful, finding your pitch and hitting – the pitch that you want to hit, and not giving in to Chloe or whoever's out there pitching. You've got to work within your skill set and ability, and not chase and go after another girl's best pitcher. You've got to stay in your comfort zone. And if it's hitting earlier in the count, hit earlier in the count. Don't let yourself get to that 2 strikes where you're kind of guessing a little bit. Right. So I think a little more aggressive and a little more just fine focused on what we're doing at the plate. Mm-hmm. Definitely, I thought our approaches were so much better in game 2 and 3, and it was the difference. I mean, it was the absolute difference in the regional.
Yeah. So more than once, you all were down to your final strike. Yeah. 2 outs, 2 strikes. Yeah. Somebody at the plate trying to keep the season alive. Yeah. Talk about that stretch of time. I think we're talking game 2, correct?
Correct. No. Game 3. That was game 3. Yeah, that was the championship game at Chapmanville.
Okay, well, set the stage for me then.
Yeah. Well, we were down to 2 strikes. Actually, the first 2 at-bats of the inning, Emery Nelson led off with a really hard-hit ball to deep center field. When she first hit it, we thought maybe it had a shot, but she flew out to start the top of the 7th. Riley McClellan came up, hit a line drive, one of the hardest hit balls in the game, right at the third baseman, 2 outs. And then Maddie comes up, and she gets down 1 ball, 2 strikes, probably has about a 9 or 10 pitch at bat, and she just kept fouling balls off. And about the 9th or 10th pitch, she hit one right down the left field line and got on base. And we ran for her. Allison Hoffman ran for her, and she steals second base. And we get down to Kinley Zigman with 2 strikes and a runner on second. 2 strikes again. And Kinley just had a great at-bat. She fouled off a couple of pitches, and she got a pitch to hit, and it kind of came down to that one pitch, and she didn't miss it. And she hit it right by the third baseman, tied the game, and we went into extra innings.
Yeah. And at that point, you've got to feel like momentum's on your side.
Yeah.
And that's very real. At the end of the day, we're talking teenagers, and you can be impacted, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally. It's hard to regroup from being down 2 outs and 2 strikes. It's hard for the other team to regroup from being that close
Yes.
to getting to the state tournament.
Big momentum swing.
And then you got to regroup and figure yourself out and see, okay, now we got to figure out how to win this game.
Right.
Gosh, I just imagine you over there coaching. Did it ever feel like it was over? You said, I know these girls. I know my team.
Well, sometimes you wonder if it's in the cards. Maybe this is not, maybe it's not meant to be. But there's one thing about this group that I never doubted. Even, 6th inning, 7th inning, they were not going to quit. They were not going to just lay down and not fight and battle. And that kind of goes back to that senior leadership, and our juniors, from Emory right there in the top of the 7th all the way down to Hensley getting that hit. There was not a bat at bat. So that adjustment from the first game through the second and third game, you could see it on the field paying off. And, it didn't result in double, triple, home run, but it resulted in a good approach every time up. And as we were able to string those together, you could just see each girl didn't want to be the end of the line. They wanted to keep it going. They wanted to get that hit or keep that game going. And our dugout just kind of erupted when Hensley got that hit, and you could feel a lot of momentum at that point.
Yeah, it just shows how slim the margins are. You're talking about you all end up going on to become, you're the eventual state champs, and Chapmanville is one strike away.
Right.
Softball around here is good, and it's tough, isn't it?
It is.
It's tough to get there, let alone win it.
It is. It's, coaching baseball, the years that I coached baseball and coaching softball, the two sports are very similar, but man, the momentum swings in softball are really big. And, you can, there's a lot of similarities in the two, but man, when the girls really get going downhill, so to speak, when they really get the momentum going, a lot of positive things can happen. And this team probably, more than any team that I've coached, I told them this at our banquet, and I truly believe it. This team got more 2-out, 2-strike hits than probably any team that we've coached recently. Mm-hmm. So I think that really speaks to their character and their determination.
Yeah. So you have a group of girls then going to the state tournament for the third consecutive year. Yeah. For some of them, I guess, especially your juniors on down, it's the only thing they know, right? Yeah. So is the preparation any different, or is it more of, hey, we've been here before and we know what to do, we know how to win up here, we know what can get us beat up here as well, or is it more of coaching this team individually and based on the needs that they might have or what you think they need going into it?
I think it's just let's get better. Let's just collectively as a program, let's get better. Let's get in here in the fall and let's get stronger in the off season, and let's put some work in that's going to allow you to get back. We had a great off season last year through the fall and winter, so they know what they have to do, and I think you just have to come in every day and say, hey, let's take every day and every week as an approach to let's get better at what we are doing. We have to be more concerned about what our program's doing than what anybody else is doing. Yeah. So if we can collectively improve as a program, then I think you give yourself those opportunities to get back. Now, is it going to happen? Mm-hmm. Who knows? This year was an incredible experience for them. So if they can grind through this year and see what can happen, then you just got to get right back at it and be willing to do all that stuff again. Yeah.
Of course, the state tournament, all kinds of storylines there, emotional, great games, and you finally get to a point where it's like, okay, we're one win away, and you have Frankfurt. I believe it was a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, whatever, and it was hot. Yeah. And it feels like all of Winfield's there. Yeah. And you score. And I believe in the first inning. Yeah. I can't remember if it was the top half or bottom half, but you score in the first inning. And that's the score for like 5 innings. Yeah. You had some opportunities. Just walk me through the emotions of a championship game where the margins are slim and you're just trying to put the thing away and walk home with the championship trophy in your hand.
Yeah, well, it's always good if you can in big games to score first. I think that if you can get out in front and get a lead, then somebody's got to score a couple times to get ahead of you. So if you can score first and get, obviously Maddie is a great pitcher, get her in a groove with a lead, then you can kind of get it going a little bit and get a little bit of that momentum. And then you just want to literally play every out to out. Every pitch, every out, every at bat, and you can't get too far ahead of yourself. You've just got to stay grounded and focused on every inning. We've tried to talk to them about, if you win every inning, you're 7 innings, and if you can win every inning, you either score a run or you play them even, then you're going to have a great chance to win.
To have Maddie Carroll in the circle, didn't she pitch every state tournament game for you?
She did, and she did a great job. And I know by the end of the year she was probably a little tired. She had logged some stressful innings too. So I know she was probably right at the end of her. But I mean, just an incredible pitcher, and probably an even better overall person. It's just. Anything you ask her to do, she's going to do it, and she's going to pitch until she can't throw it anymore. And she did a great job.
Yeah. I mean, I would feel good with a 1-0 lead, her in the circle. But at some point, I think they scored on like a fielder's choice to the right side of the infield, and so they tied the ball game up late. And then, at that point, it's basically 0-0, and it's a 1 or 2 inning game, or however long it takes to end this thing. Does the mindset change when they tie it up, or is it just, hey, we were probably going to need to score more than 1 run anyway?
Absolutely. Right. And again, if you can win those innings, and if coming out of that inning 1-1, we felt like we won that situation because we're going to get the last at bat. We got one more at bat than they do, and let's just keep doing what we do well. And our seniors and our juniors, and they just kind of the experience at that point. I think they felt confident in the situation they were in. We just kind of had to go out there and get that one girl on base, and Ella Black led off the bottom of the 7th with a big pitch hit for us, and then Evie got her over, and unfortunate little double play right there, but Riley stepped up, big, junior experienced player, and man, is just really good. Yeah,
I want to talk about, of course, the walk-off there, but that hit to lead off the inning. You said she pinch hit for you, right?
Yes.
So is she coming off the bench cold there and in a big game, or had she been in the field at all?
She played the game before. She got an at-bat the game before, and she'd been a little bit in and out of the lineup for us over the last couple of weeks. But, I mean, Ella is just a tremendous asset to our team all the way around. She works hard in the off season and does things right. And, again, that didn't surprise me she got that hit at all. She was prepared and ready. And, I'm just thrilled for her because that's something that she can recall, come back to later throughout her senior year, and draw on that positive experience that hey, you're never out of a game,
Not only that, but she knows now that she herself can rise to the occasion.
Absolutely.
Because there might be a moment, there probably will be, for each of the players on next year's team, but specifically her, where she's going to find herself in a spot where I need a hit here, we need an RBI here, I need to get on base here or advance a runner, and she should know she can do that.
And it is. I think it's a great point. When she was able to, not only does it give her confidence, but the rest of the girls in the program, hey, look, any time in a game, you don't know what's going to happen. So you have to be ready to hit, pitch, defensively, run, bunt, whatever the team needs you to do, you've got to be ready to do that. And Ella was, just ready to go, and did not surprise me that she got that hit.
So then Riley McClellan comes up, enters the batter's box. How did you feel about her, in that position there? I'm sure you were confident.
Yeah, really good. You don't know if she's going to get a hit, but you believe that, if there's going to be a situation that there's going to be tough. Any one of our kids in that lineup, any one of our players could have got that hit, no doubt about it. But it didn't surprise me that it was Riley. She's a leader. She's involved in a lot of things in our school too, extracurricular things outside of softball. She's student council. She's involved in pep club. She's involved in National Honor Society. So all of those things encompass who Riley is. So that did not surprise me that she got that hit.
Yeah. And that's a big moment there, because if she doesn't get a hit there and knock in that winning run, you go to extras, and then you don't know what happens.
Sure.
Say you lose the game, now you got to play another one. It's a doubleheader at this point, and the championship celebration, if there's going to be one, it has to wait.
Yes,
right?
Right.
But instead, she ends it, and the celebration begins right there. Is there a, I don't know, particular face, a smile, or something that stands out to you about that moment? Even though you've seen it, twice before this point, for a third time, you get to see the girls celebrate in that fashion. Man.
I think all three teams, what I remember in that moment is seeing them celebrate on the field. That's the big thing, is seeing them enjoy it and seeing the work that they put in rewarded. When you just kind of see them cut loose, that's the biggest reward, is seeing them just act like they're in Little League again, and the joys and the good times that they're going to have, they're never going to forget that. So that's kind of the biggest thing I remember, I think.
Yeah, and I would imagine, of course I don't want to speak for the girls, but I would imagine there is a certain level of pressure, and it probably doesn't come from you, and it probably doesn't even come from people in Winfield, but just knowing who you are and what you've already done and how people feel about your team. They want to see you go down, but you're also the top dog, and until somebody knocks you off. Was there a certain amount of relief too for you and your girls, or it was just like, hey, this is an individual year, and this team, they did it too?
Probably to some degree there is, but man, I think too that man, when you're in those moments and if you're feeling that pressure, that's where you just have to trust what you have done in the preparation. And that's why the off season and the conditioning and the practice and everything that you put into it matters. So when those situations are there, you've been there and you've been successful and you've been able to do that before and experience that success. So I think from that standpoint of it, they probably feel a little bit of pressure, maybe just from the atmosphere, but if they can block all that out and just focus on what their job is to do and just do your job, like whether it be a bunt, whether it be a pitch hit, whether it just be a walk. Some of the biggest at bats that girls are going to have or boys are going to have in baseball might be a ground out to second base that moves a runner from second to third, and the next girl gets a hit. So if they can just do their job in the moment they're in, I think that can take some of that pressure off.
So, of course, I got to see the celebration on the field, but I didn't get to see you all when you went back to Winfield. I saw some things on Facebook, whether I don't know, maybe they were sitting on top of a fire truck. I mean, what's the celebration like in Winfield after a state title?
It's great. It's great. Winfield's a great place. It really is. I mean, we have a great community. About 70 per year, I don't know if you believe this or not, but it's true, and I even checked with our principal. We've got about a 70% rate of students in our school that are involved in extracurricular events. So it's a very active student body. And I think our softball program is just kind of a snapshot of our school. So, there were some people in the streets, we brought the bus and the fire trucks through town. So that was exciting. And, the girls, I remember as much of the bus trips as I do anything. The celebrations are great, but seeing them on the bus, hanging out the window, waving at everybody, that's a special time for sure.
Are there any celebration traditions that have kind of naturally formed over the last 3 years?
Well, they all obviously ride the bus back, and they always bring the plaque back to home plate and take a picture of it at home plate. And every kid, every player takes a picture of the trophy, and with the trophy. But they always like to take the trophy back and set it on home plate and take a picture of it there, which is pretty cool to watch them do that.
Yeah. Have you ordered this year's ring? You've got one on your finger. Can you show it real quick? I don't know what year this is. Hold that up.
This is a 24. That's a 24 ring.
There you go.
From last year.
That looks nice now.
Yeah, not bad. We are working on the ring.
Okay.
We've made contacts and little designs here and there, but we'll have that hopefully taken care of by the end of summer.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of rings here the past couple months or so. Like I said, we've talked state championships on this program, and Teresa Ruby at Wheelersburg, she's got a few on her finger, and now you've got a third one, or you have a third one coming in. I just think that's so fascinating and cool because not everybody has one of those, and gosh, that thing's awesome.
Yeah, one of the things we did on this ring and with the players, the players really help us design the ring, so they get a little bit of say in it. But this ring, if you notice, it's got 2 green stones, which
hold that up here for us. There we
go.
go. I want our viewers to see
The
it.
2 green stones were for the back-to-back years, so they're already talking about trying to find a way to have 3 stones that'll be green,
cool.
To highlight the 3 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, how does this happen? I mean, I know as a baseball coach, you reached the mountaintop, I think, twice, right?
Yeah.
But I don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe the softball program had ever done this, had ever won a state championship. How does this happen? Not only to get you one, but to then rattle off 2 more behind it. It's really amazing. Has that even sunk in and hit you? What has been built here and is now kind of the standard or maybe even the expectation? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I've got a great faith in God and in my purpose and what I want to do with my life, and my desires are His desires, and I believe we've been incredibly blessed in our program. I mean, we've got tremendous community support. We couldn't do what we do without a lot of our local community people, but I just really think that showing up every day and trying to do things the right way and just being there to get better every single day. We've really tried to talk about the importance of that. Getting better every day, being a good teammate, sharing your experiences with another teammate, and making a friend on the team, and really make yourself available to other people. And that our program and our culture is more about others than it is about yourself. I pray a lot for our program, for our school, that we're in position to affect other people. And I just feel like our school and our town, our community it's a good place to be. And I think some of this happens obviously with individual talent. You've got to have really good players. There's no question. But I think the broader picture of our community and our school, our faith, and everything we're trying to do every day, I think that really makes a difference in what we're doing. And doesn't mean you're always going to win, but you give yourself a really good chance when you're able to do things the right way.
Of course, people in Winfield know this, but for our other viewers that are watching, maybe learning about you for the first time, you're a pastor. And so are there similarities between coaching and being a pastor? I mean, at the end of the day, you're just trying to make people around you better, right?
Absolutely.
Are there similarities, or what are the differences?
Yeah, I think the biggest similarity, I think, is every day matters. Every day matters with what you're doing, and I'm a little bit of an early riser in the morning, so I get up and I do a lot of things early in the morning, whether it be read and some of my devotion stuff. But when you're walking every day with a purpose, and the things that you're doing, you're putting yourself a little bit more in the back of the line. I mean, it's so natural to want to do and accomplish things and look out for yourself every day. And how can I get the most out of my day? Well, try to go back and forth between the two with what can we do to help to make other people's lives a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And I think to some degree that's a big, that's a similarity, but when you understand that we're not doing things here to self-serve, that we're trying to serve others in what we're doing, is definitely a big similarity.
Sure. I mean, I know the championships are great, the winning is great, but it's obvious there's a greater purpose for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to teach these girls on your team. I mean, I'd imagine you've put some at the college ranks. Or some are coming that probably will be exploring that as an opportunity. You feel like this program is changing lives,
Yeah, I think maybe to some degree, yes. And I mean, we want it to be a program where you obviously in 4 years leave better than what you came in. Yep. I mean, that's from I try to always talk about that with my baseball players too. Let's in 4 years you want to be able to go out a better person than what you were when you came in, and you learned some things along the way that is going to help you in 5 years or 10 years. because there's a lot of adversity in life. There's a lot of adversity in sports and in school. There's a lot of things that are not going to go your way. And the championships, yes, are great, but they're not going to be. You're going to remember those, but you're going to remember a lot more from the relationships that you established through high school. That's going to pay off down the road.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're a Winfield guy. I want to get some more background on you because we've kind of talked about you outside of ball now. But you're a Winfield guy originally, right? Graduate?
Yeah. 1991, graduate.
So you're a general for life, man. Huh? You teach there. You've coached, at least 2 sports there.
Yeah.
What kept you around? A lot of people, they'll say, I'm leaving here and never coming back. And others, we stay. And we love it and we enjoy it and we want to pour into the community.
Right.
What kept you around,
Well, it's my school. It's not my program, but it's my school. One day there'll be another coach. I'm going to coach forever. But one day, somebody else will get the opportunity to coach. But it is my school. And I think the thing is, Winfield people are just special people. And the students there, the teachers there. We have a great faculty, and we probably have the best administration around. We have great principals, great leaders, and our faculty is really good, and they're really invested in our students. And like I said, to have over 70% participation rate, whether it be in athletics or show choir, band, quiz bowl teams, our students come out and support. So that's probably the biggest thing that's kept me around is just the school itself. And like I said, man, I just believe we have the best kids around. Just awesome place to be.
Sure. I mean, it's one thing to be at the school and teach, but of course, coaching that's an added responsibility.
Sure,
That's an added, an additional calling.
Yeah.
Was that something that you always thought about, or was maybe there someone along the way who nudged you in that direction and said, hey, why don't you think about this?
Well, man, I've been blessed, man, beyond measure with who I've been around. I kind of always felt that I wanted to be involved in coaching in some degree, but man, some of the big influences on my high school coach, Jimmy Tribble was a big influence on me, and how to coach the game and play the game right and hard. And just do things the right way. And I played college baseball at State for Cal Bailey, and there's a lot of Cal Bailey people running around that are involved in coaching. So, and have a lot of connections with that. So, I mean, those are just a couple influences off the top of my head that that I can think of that's played a big role in my life. But again, it's just it's a special place to be, and I've kind of always known that I wanted to be involved in coaching and ministry and in some of our local churches, that I've been fortunate enough to work in, and doing more of the coaching now than that. But still being involved with people and having influence. There's probably not 2 better professions you can be in ministry and education.
Of course, before the softball dynasty that's been built, you coached baseball for a little more than a decade at Winfield, and you won 2 state championships. And I'm looking at my cheat sheet here. I think 9 sectional titles. You won the conference 5 times, won the region 3 times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this isn't a fluke what you're doing with the softball program. And after 3 state titles, no one should think that.
Yeah.
But what do you remember about your run as a baseball coach? Because there's all kinds of success, and I'm sure plenty of stories there as well.
Yeah, it's the people. You remember the people. I mean, there's games that I can sit around with my wife and daughter and be like, man, I know exactly what. They're like, you can remember exactly what happened 20 years ago, and sometimes I have a hard time finding my wallet or my car keys, But I remember the people. I mean, I remember the people. I remember the players that played for us, and I still see them around. And it's the relationships that you're able to make and establish, I think. Man, you go back and you think of the old Walkoff Park that used to be there. And, you think of some of those memories you have of those places. And, education and teaching is one of those things that you get the opportunity. It takes you on a journey you don't expect, and you really never forget, those teams that won those championships are special. I can just see those guys enjoy the smiles on their faces and the satisfaction of again, it's the work that you put in. I mean, I'm a softball dad. My daughter was on the 23 team that won the first championship there, and I, as a softball dad and I'm playing baseball all these years, I know the work that goes into it. You know, whether you're playing early in the morning on a Sunday in July or whether you're out hitting late on a Monday night at the field. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into these things that happen, win or lose. So that's kind of what you remember are those type of memories and the times that the kids put all that work in.
You talked about how the momentum swings in softball are different than in baseball.
Yeah.
But where you've been around both sports, and it's really the same game. The dimensions are, of course, a little different, and the stealing rules, and of course all those little minutia of the game are different. But it's really the same game. But I'm sure in a lot of ways it is a different game. Can you kind of talk about the way you coach it, the way you handle players, the way you strategize scenarios in your brain? How are the two games different?
Softball's a faster game. I mean, it's a fast game. In baseball, I can remember you could almost have a conversation between at bats, with your coaches. In softball, when a girl fouls a ball off or there's a pitch, strike one, ball one, whatever it is, that pitcher in that circle, whether that's Maddie, Emery, Ava, whoever's out there pitching, they're looking over there. They want the next pitch. They're ready to go. So, I mean, in softball, you've got to be a pitcher two ahead or a player two ahead to understand what the outcome you're trying to get. So, similar in a lot of ways, but man, it's a fast game. It's a fast game, and the girls are so skilled. If people that generally don't follow or watch a lot of softball, may really try to get out and watch some games and definitely get to the state tournament if you can, whether we're there or not. It's a great event, and it's a really it's eye-opening experience if you're not familiar with the game.
Sure. How about the kids? You started coaching in the late 90s there, and here we are. It's 2025, and next season it'll be 2026 for you. Have kids changed? I asked some of our coaches on the last episode this same question. Are girls and boys different? Are they all the same? Do they all want the same thing? Or what do you deal with now that maybe you didn't deal with 20, 30 years ago?
Boys and girls are different. You definitely have to coach a little bit differently with girls and boys. But I do believe they all want the same thing. They want to know what the rules are, and they want organization. And for the most part, most of them want to be coached, in a way that you're going to help them get better. That's what they want. And boys and girls are very similar, obviously, in that regard. Some of the things that you deal with now on and off the field are a little bit different. There's way more technology involved in life now, than what there was in the 90s and back when I was in school. We wrote a note, left it on the counter, and we were home at 5 o'clock, or whatever time we had to be home. And now it's so much more things are at the touch of their hand. You deal a little bit with that, but I don't think it's anything you can't overcome. They understand what is expected of them, and I think that's what they want. They want high expectations, and I think that's one thing that our school is really good about is there's a lot of demand of high expectations and accountability with our students overall, and that helps you as a coach when you're taking over a program with those type of foundations and things already in place. And I think that's really what those kids, what they want.
I know at times you'll hear people say that you can't do this anymore the way we did it, or you can't do that, or you can't say this or that to a kid. But what's interesting to me is anytime I've asked this kind of question to a coach or someone that's won at a high level, they will say kids want to be coached.
They do.
And you just said that. Is that kind of one of the biggest misconceptions, I guess, or misnomers of this generation of kids? Because you
Right.
see them on a daily basis,
Right.
and I would take your word for it above plenty of other people,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So they do want to be coached.
Absolutely. They want to get better. If they're going to invest the time in the travel, in a sport, or in an academic class, I think it's similar with teaching. I mean, if you're wanting to achieve and you're wanting to learn, you're going to want to be pushed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to be pushed and you don't want to be coached, then that's not on the coach. That's on the player. So if those players want to get better and they want to work and they want to improve, then they're going to be receptive to coaching. So there probably is a little misconception there. Now, obviously, there's things that don't want to do. It's not the 50s or the 60s anymore, and times do change, cultures do change for the good or for the worse, but for the most part, kids do want to be coached. I believe that.
Do you find yourself having to battle for their attention more so than you did 20 years ago?
Well, I will say this. It seems like in the Instagram world now, you get a shorter attention span sometimes. So I think you do have to be precise in what you're trying to convey, because they kind of live in this 90-second to 2-minute reel. How the reels are, you get the attention. But I think, if they understand that what you're doing is to try to help and make them better, then I think I know the players that I've been fortunate enough to coach are great, are fine with that. So if they have those high expectations and they know that they're going to be held accountable, then they're much more receptive to what you're trying to convey to them.
Sure. Plenty of them are probably watching what you just said on an Instagram reel that I'll probably end up posting, or TikTok,
Right.
whatever, because it's going to
Right.
live everywhere.
Right.
But like you said, and even people my age, I mean, it's literally 90 seconds. If you
Of your
can't get your
attention.
point across,
Yeah.
we don't want to hear it. We
Yeah.
don't want to watch it,
Right.
And I'm sure as a
Right.
coach, you're battling that almost every single day.
Well, and I think that's why, you have to trust the process and what you're doing every day. And understand that every day matters. Every day that you're able to invest in somebody else, or you're able to invest in yourself to make yourself better, then the program is going to get better. And again, investing in somebody else, whether you're working out in the weight room with them or whether you're just coming by at lunch and sitting down and saying hi for 30 seconds, those things matter. And the more connections that you can make, the more relationships that you can make, and the more time you can invest, then you're playing for a bigger prize than a state championship, if that makes sense.
Sure.
That's a little bit, I think, of where we've been able to try to be a little bit of a different type of program, if that makes sense. We want to go out and get better, but man, just keep making your school and your culture better while you're doing it.
Yeah. Of course, there was a little bit of a gap between you coaching baseball and coming back to coach softball. When you kind of hung it up there, did you feel like that was the end? Did you say, maybe I need a few years to just relax a little bit?
No, I've talked to my wife. We've talked a lot about that time period that I didn't coach. I served in our church at Good Shepherd Baptist Church in Tays Valley, and it's a wonderful church with wonderful people and just wonderful pastors and teachers there. And it was a point in our life that, my daughter was a little bit younger. I was able to invest in the people in our church and learn and study Scripture, that in a way I never had before. So that helped change me a little bit, maybe prepare me for the softball position, perhaps, not sure. But it was at a point in time in our life that I think our family needed that, and I needed some time to reflect a little bit on what direction that obviously I was being led to go. And at that point, for 5 or 6 years, it was a great time in our life. We got to travel a little bit, spend some time together, and you never want to take that time away from your family, because that's the most important investment you're ever going to make. And that matters above all. And the opportunity when my daughter started playing softball. I was like, well, we'll look into this a little bit and see how it goes. But in all fairness, I had to learn. I mean, I had to learn a little bit along the way, and that time away from baseball was probably good.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like you were a dad before the softball stuff.
Yeah.
You're a dad still,
Sure.
and you're going to be a dad long after you hang it up.
Absolutely.
And so you're saying investing in your family, that's never a bad investment to make, ever.
No. It's the most important investment you're going to make. And, I still think often about the times that I worked with the group that my daughter was in, the 23 group. I saw that group grow up from Little League, from all those players, and that's what I saw the picture downstairs. And I was like, oh man, that's our group, and that was their senior year, and that's what you remember. You remember the memories and the faces and the smiles and those things that are never going to go away. The championships are great, and they're not going anywhere. But even when I see those guys from the baseball years, we don't talk as much about the championships as we do about some of the things that happened during the season. Like, man, do you remember after that game we stayed out there and we did it? Those are kind of the things that you remember, and the people are the investment, and the people make your program. The people are why you're there. The players are why you're there. So that's kind of one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about the memories and the things that people remember. Of
Yeah.
course, the community will remember the state titles
Sure.
and the games that they went to. But
Right.
I think when you're in it, whether a coach or a player, you do remember some of those more personal interactions. Like, I just think back to my high school years, and it's like just going to B-dubs after the game, hanging out with
Right.
your friends, or celebrating a big win at IHOP or something.
Right. Exactly.
When you think about this year, is there something off the field or a practice that you thought, oh, man, that was a great time, that was funny, or I'll kind of remember that maybe more than anything.
Nah, man, I tell you, I don't know.
There's probably too many to think about.
I gotta be honest. I think it's going to be the bus ride home from the state tournament. Seeing them, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I can tell just thinking back on it that hits home, and that's buried deep in you.
Yeah, it does. It when you see them, when you see them, just have that joy and that it's everything they've worked for, everything they've thought about, everything they've dreamed about. You see that come out in them, and you see them hanging out the window, and a few of them are going through there trying to pull leaves off of trees and trying to get a memory, trying to make a memory. And I think that's the biggest thing is when you see them and they're holding that plaque up and they're a champion. It's pretty cool.
And isn't it cool that because they're a championship team, what they've accomplished now gives them a reason to get back together?
Yep.
Years down the road.
Absolutely.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it is. And even our baseball teams, we've tried to get them together. It's hard. Life happens, and it's hard to get everybody back together. But the high school years are special, and being able to go through these things and to know that that group, that family, in 10 or 20 years, you're going to be able to get back, and you're going to talk about a lot of things, and the championship gives you a reason to get back together, but you get back together because of the memories and the people and the relationships you make. So that's the special part of it.
I've loved this conversation, man.
I appreciate
this.
it.
This is awesome. But before I let you go, not to jump the gun because it is July, but next year's group. I mean, Maddie Carroll and you've got a lot of talent coming back. I'm sure you're just as excited as you've ever been.
Yeah, we are. And probably the biggest thing I'm excited about is just the fall. Let's just get out and practice. I enjoy practice in the weight room and the conditioning as much as I do the games. The games is kind of just is a result of the work you put in. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I'm looking forward to the fall, just to get out on the field and do some fundamental stuff and throw and just be around our program and welcoming in a new bunch of ninth grade players. And this group. I'll say this, obviously the 23 group is a little special to me because that was my daughter's group, and I saw that group grow up. But, this senior group coming will be another special group. They'll be close because I've seen them since the 9th grade, 8th and 9th grade, and having those seniors back, I know they're going to want to go do it again and
go 4 for 4.
Go 4 for 4. If that happens, that'll be an incredible blessing. But there'll be a lot of work. There'll be a lot of work we'll have to go into that, and I'm confident that this group understands that.
Well, I know a lot of people in Winfield will be pulling for them, and of course everybody else in the state, they're saying we're coming after you. So,
I know for sure they will be. They will be. They will be.
Yeah. Well, I certainly appreciate it, man. Obviously, you love Winfield. It's great to hear your passion for that town and this community and the school, and we know Winfield loves you back.
Yeah,
Living legend. The legend just continues to grow, however many more you put on your finger. So I appreciate you making the drive and joining me today.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
All right, that does it for this episode of WSAZ Sports Plus. Want to thank Steve Hensley, of course, for driving over from Winfield to come talk about his team, his program, and some of the stories along the way up to this point in his career. Want to remind everybody that, of course, you can stream this program each Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. over on WSAZ.com or on the WSAZ app. Full episodes always posted over on our WSAZ YouTube channel. For now, this has been WSAZ Sports Plus. We'll see you next week.